Hello everybody, you're here with Claro Beauty. Welcome to another episode of Fragrance. It's becoming one of my favorites. Not that I don't love makeup, obviously, of course I do. But this has been a new discovery for me, all this learning about fragrances and smelling them and experiencing them. So, hey, welcome back. I hope you enjoy it with me. I hope you learn with me. And here we go. So today I have, and excuse my dog in the background. I have a new fragrance. I haven't smelled it, so I will be discovering here with you. And it's called French Leather. This is one of YouTubers' favorites or recommendation from several people. So that's why I go ahead and get the samples of them and then experience them for myself, right? And then share with you my thoughts. So in this case, this is French Leather. And it's very interesting because this is the second fragrance that I smell from the same house. The house is MEMO Paris, MEMO Paris. So the last one, and you can see the video on it, is the La Libella, which I did love and I did enjoy throughout the day. So now I'm very curious about this French Leather. Now, just real quick, I always introduce a little bit of what Fragrantica has to say Fragrantica, the website, because it's very short and that way it's kind of the same place from information. And then I go to their website and I'll tell you a little bit about it. But most important is how I feel with it and how I like it or dislike it once I smell it, right? So before I smell it, I'm gonna share with you. It's a leather fragrance for women and for men. French Leather was launched in 2014, and the nose behind this fragrance is Aliénor Massenet. Now there's a picture of Aliénor Massenet. She looks fairly young, so that always translates. So that means it's fairly new, right? I mean 2014. So I'm very curious to smell it. She is behind La Libella as well, which I really enjoyed, and I think I said that already. But so I'm very curious about this one. Now, well, let me spray it first, and then we'll read what the main accords according to Fragrantica, and then the real ingredients that the website describes. So I'm gonna spray it here. Whew. I hope it didn't get into my coffee. Wow. Very nice, very nice, very enjoyable. Wow. And very different than the La Libella that I smelled last time. Now the bottles look very similar. They have a very yellow thing. You can see it in the flyer that I put for the video. There's the picture of the bottle, but the shape and frame, they're very, very similar, the two. I don't know if all the house kind of has the same sort of bottles. So the bottle looks kind of a lotion-like. I mean, it's kind of taller, goes from down up, and it just has so it's very interesting that it is like something you can just throw in a weekend backpack. That's how I see it. So that's lovely. Instead of a beautiful bottle that is awkward, or it is just for showing in a vanity or things like that. No, this reminds me of something that you're ready to put in your backpack and go. Maybe backpacking, or maybe just a very luxury weekend, you know. Wow, this is very interesting and I'm really enjoying this fragrance. So let me tell you the main accords according to Fragrantica is rose, musky, aromatic, woody, citrus, leather, powdery, soft, spicy, fresh, spicy, and floral. Now, the interesting part about this is that the name is French Leather. So I was expecting that leather-like. And some of the description, which I'll share with you a little bit, was talking about, you know, the leather inside a bag and things like that. However, the main accord is rose. And so it becomes, I wouldn't say a white floral sort of fragrance, you know, that opening going out in the field you've seen me talk about in other videos. No, but obviously rose. And you know, rose is one of my favorites. Now, it doesn't smell because rose is one of my favorites. I have many fragrances with rose in it, right? And they seem all very different. With the point that the rose itself I love. So then they all seem very different, and yet there's something that unites them. This rose to me is a very elegant. It's not too intense or too close in that intensity. I don't know how else to describe it. This is a rose, sort of a comfortable, inviting, and the wholeness that rose brings about. However, as you are smelling the rose, which is what I just described, is their whole beautiful, there's something that crosses through, and I think that's where the leather sort of combines with the rose, because even though you can smell something that is crossing through, then it kind of melts together, and so you get a male and female sort of, because the rose is kind of a universe on itself, and then you have the leather crossing through. I see like an arrow or like something cutting through, but then they kind of blend together. So what a wonderful male and female. Now I think this one, yes, this one is French leather MEMO Paris for women and men. So I see that combination happening for men and for women. Now the result of it, yes, I can see male wearing it, but I would like it more, well, I guess because leather-like, right? It's like the Tom Ford. They also, there's like a leather quality which can be used for both. So it's a very interesting decision, right? If you want to put it in the masculine or in the feminine, or what kind of man could wear this, or what kind of woman can wear this, right? It has to do with personality. I definitely will wear this. So I do believe it has a little more serious note, but not serious like work or like maturity, or no, it holds on its own. I do feel you have to have the personality to stand with it, because it's not like or romantic or light, or no, it is very full and whole on its own, but it's beautiful, feminine, and at the same time you have that I guess leather, they call it leather, they describe it leather. To me, has a little bit of that tobacco, fresh leaf, fresh plant that I have described in other ones from cigars sort of thing, but very, very, very at the end, very light at the end. But it does have that kind of groundedness from that, because it's very different than a groundedness from vetiver, for example. So very beautiful. Now I'm gonna read you a little bit of what the actual MEMO Paris website describes this like. Now the MEMO Paris descriptions are very interesting on its own. I have found that when you go to the actual websites of the niche fragrances or fragrances, the descriptions are very poetic, and I love that about it. And I guess if you like wines or liqueurs, or getting to the fragrances, this whole knowledge of essences and combination of ingredients in food and other things, I think you get poetic. It is part of a creativeness, and it's part of an expansion of your brain to recognize and to be able to have a hold on what you're smelling or tasting or feeling, right? The same with fabrics, and the same with texture. So everything that holds your senses, but that it has a complexity on its own. I think the same with words, right? Your brain goes to a different place, I think. So I just want to mention the notes or the ingredients that the actual website calls for. So they say is lime essence, rose essence, and suede accord. I guess that's the suede, right? The leather like. It says pink pepper essence, juniper essence, clary sage essence, cedar essence, citrax resin, vetiver, and musk. Oh, that's so interesting. I mentioned the vetiver, of course, that groundedness, right? I did say it was very different than vetiver, but I guess the vetiver was there, and it just has that seed, that point that grounds. I guess you have to have a certain personality to own vetiver, and it's usually categorized as a very male sort of vetiver, but it's it's not very strong in here. That's why you wouldn't say has vetiver, but obviously the feel of it, right? It does. And now that is being confirmed, now I smell it even more. And you know how that happens. So, but I wanted to read you a little bit of their description, just a tiny bit. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but you know, they title it as a rose affair. So that rose that was the main accord is still, it feels to me sort of a seductive way of calling the rose forward. And it's very interesting because the name of the bottle is French leather, right? So it's like rose, French leather. I'm now a little confused. Is it about leather? Is it about rose, right? It's interesting, the combination they're creating. So part of the description, it says, with its lime and rose essence and its suede accord evoking the inside of a handbag, this scent signs the adventure of a French rose, the one that makes your eyes shine. French leather is a fragrance that hones the senses, as all worthy Parisian women should do. Very seductive. It sounds very seductive, and yet it has the go out in a weekend, like I described, inside a handbag, right? Sort of thing. So it's a very interesting play that they're doing. And again, it reminds me of that bottle that you throw in your backpack for a long weekend, for a let's go through Europe or to South America in a backpack, or in an adventure or an experience, but as a young woman, but not as a youngster. It's like a 30s, you know, you have your own, and you're independent and adventurous, and you're in that. But then there's this seduction. Maybe you'll meet the men of your life, or maybe after a divorce and you're out and about, right? I mean, all of these things come to mind, that reinventing, but in a I'm curious about the world, I'm growing sort of place. But you know, coming down to earth and not dreamy, like adventures and travel and romance. And, you know, I immediately saw like Italy and France and having a good meal and all of these things. I mean, if you want to come back to reality, like my everyday reality, which is not that. Very, very lovely. Would I buy it? Yes. I like it, like even if I had a very professional job, I would like to go to work with this. It's not a very creative kind of essence, so I wouldn't apply it if I wanted to be in a creative mode, but I would apply it if I wanted to be in a professional mode. Even communication, I think, tunes in. So if you want to communicate well, if you want to present yourself well, there's that seriousness and a little bit of that seduction that I spoke about. So there's that leather with the rose. Wow. And then of course they describe this thing about that makes your eye shine. Cling. So again, it's this contrast, because there's the leather and the seriousness, professional and everything, but then there's the rose that obviously has the shine in your eye sort of look. So very, very interesting fragrance, and more interesting that it was done by a woman. That has been in the back of my mind, is because usually the fragrances I always see is a male behind the fragrance, right? Now, I'm not a connoisseur, so I will have to research how many more women behind it, things like that. So, you know, it's just, for me, it's interesting to see a woman created this. And of course, when you go to the Chanel and things like that, there was a woman behind the choices. But I think the one that actually was creating the scents, I think they were males. And so they were creating it for the female, right? So again, the fact that it's a woman behind it is grabbed my curiosity, and is tying it to the complexity and kind of, would you say, contradiction or blending of the two. So now I want to dive more into this whole world of a woman behind the fragrance. So very different. This French leather is supposed to be a bestseller for them, very different than La Livella, which is also a bestseller, which is a very different sort of scent. You can watch my video again on it. And I just read the description here a little bit on La Livella that I had not mentioned on my previous videos, and I'm tempted to do a follow-up now, not a first impression on that one. So look for that one if you're interested. But on the French leather as a first impression, love it. And we've been talking since I applied it for 10 minutes. It's been transforming as usual, and I think I'm liking it more and more. Now the scent does not, I'm not very like, I need more of it. I need more of it. Like those fragrances that you just want to keep smelling it. And if you notice, I haven't been like back. But it's also not a scent that I feel like, ooh, I don't know if I can smell it all day long. But it is that leather that you will smell all day long, not the rose. So usually I prefer to keep smelling the white floral or a rose or a jasmine or anything, because it puts me in a better mood. It opens me up and inspires me. This one, no, it keeps you in a serious note. It keeps you grounded. It keeps you in a professional working. So yeah, it doesn't let you just go in trouble and not concentrate. So it has a focus effect. So I like that. There you have it. I will buy it. And now that it's drying and drying and drying, I can see a more masculine as well, because the leather is coming through. So that's very interesting. So we'll see at the end of the day how it smells and if it's long lasting. The other one did last several hours, I would say 5 hours. And so we'll see how long this one lasts. And I'll keep you posted. Let me know if you heard of this house. Let me know if you heard of this colognes or Eau De Parfums, or this is an Eau De Parfum, but these fragrances. Let me know what you know about them, and if you're still interested on this episode, if you like them. And that's it. Thank you very much for watching, and please subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so. Please ring the bell in the right hand corner, thumbs up, and comment below. And especially comment below if you like this single videos on each of the fragrances. So you prefer like the 10 best, or like the 5 most seductive, or the ones to go out, or if you wanted a more in a subject. I've been doing the ones per video because I've been discovering myself, and I like delving in like I have. But let me know what you like, and thank you very much for watching. See you later. Oh, if you want to know what I have on my face, I'll put the link down below for makeup. Thank you. Bye.